Okay, so this question showed up on Measure Slack. And for those of you not familiar with Measure Slack, sign up for it. It's an incredible resource, a great Slack community with all sorts of interesting topics in the analytics, testing, data science, data visualization. As you can see here, lots of channels. And what's nice is you can search it and stuff. They don't, you don't have content that's deleted. It's got special permissions too. From the Slack sponsor to allow all the content to be stored. So highly recommend that. But this was a question, deep question. I thought I'd put together a video than rather typing response. I usually sometimes chime in to Adobe Target related questions on here. But this user has a question about Adobe Target using the mbox3rdPartyId, which if you're not doing that, you absolutely should do that. So the situation here is it's often used to stitch activities together. So if you pass the mbox3rdPartyId, which is your ID, to Adobe Target, it prioritizes your ID over Adobe Target. It's a wonderful feature. And so if you log in on one device or another device, what have you, all of your profile data, which means all of your Adobe Target activity data, will go over to the new device. So if you're in Experience B and in a certain test, you'll get Experience B on the other test. So really, really powerful in that regard. So the question is that it was working great, but the test experience is no longer triggered for most of our test accounts. So something seems to have gone wrong. This has happened with one of the Mia Prova customers just recently. So I'll jump in and explain what happened and how it works. So I've got two activities here, mbox third party A and third party B. So these are two distinct individual activities. So if I'll just use Mia Prova, use this Chrome extension that we built that's free for the Target community to look at the IDs. So here we have the ID. So this is actually based off of an ID service that we use. It's a unique ID per device. So we're passing this device ID. So if I were to log in on different devices, I would have this ID as well. Now, if I get into a certain activity, let's say I turn on activity A. So I get into activity A within here. So if I come back to here, refresh my page, you can see I play with Adobe Target a lot, and I set up a lot of activities. There I am. I'm in Group A. So that ID, in fact, all three of these IDs now have me associated with that particular ID. Now, if I clear my cookies and clear my cookies and clear my cookies, I will always get this activity A within Experience B as part of this test. There's nothing I can do. I am as long as I'm going to have this ID, which is typically a server-side ID, I'm going to continue to always get this particular activity. Now, the Slack user that had the question is we're no longer getting this. What the issue is when that ID is seen. So we want to make sure. So if I were to let's say log out, and here's an example as well. So let's say a test is running here. I don't even know. Oh, it looks like they are using Adobe Target, ironically. So you get assigned experience here. Let's say it's a test that spans the insecure and secure space. But then once you log in, the third party ID is going to be seen again. And that's going to put you back to the original test experiences. So if the ID is no longer available when the request is being made, so when you can see here on page load, this ID is being passed, that'll do it. That'll put you at random if you're don't have cookies. That'll put you in a potentially different experience here. The other situation that I've seen is I'm in activity A, but if I were to turn on activity B or stop this activity and create a copy of it, that releases me. So that ID that I have within here is tied with that particular activity, A. But if I stop A and turn on B or the different activity or create a copy of it, the ID is then de-stitched, it's removed, and I've got an equal opportunity to get different experiences. So long story short, it's either a new activity and you've been assigned a different experience, or the IDs, the test IDs that you were using, were allocated to a different experience, if that makes sense. Hopefully this is clear, but please hit me up, add a comment or email me if it's not clear. But that should do the trick.